So those of you out there that are wondering how we're getting through our masks so quickly, the original pattern came with the 7x9, okay? And that was Cheryl's original pattern. And that worked great. We used 2 pieces of fabric. We did the pinning of the ribbons or the elastic. The pins and I don't get along so well. And as a matter of fact, they fell off my desk somewhere in week 1, and there is a pile of pins between the 2 pieces of furniture that I just keep ignoring because I am going to eventually have to pick them up. But so what we're doing instead is, you can still do this pretty easily, but when we have our fabric cut, we are actually going with a longer piece of fabric, still 9 by 14, and instead of having this side to sew, we're actually doing a fold over, and that gives one less edge that needs sewed for the flip. Okay, so here is the 14x9 piece of fabric, and like I said, we are just matching up the short ends to do this. And like the other ones, we are leaving the turn area in there. So I'm gonna do the back and forth. So to the corner, lift and turn. Here is where you would have originally had to fight with things, lift feet up, have pins, but we've eliminated that. There's no ribbon, there's no elastic. We just turn and go to the corner. At the corner, back it up. That's done. Pull and cut. Then I flip it over, put it on the machine. Make sure you leave your window. Back it up. Go to the corner, turn. Take this one off. Set it aside. Do another one. Once I have a stack, we'll come back to that. So once you have your stack, and you can do as many as you want, I can, sit here and do 25 or 40 at a time. But once you have your stack, then you just go and you turn them. And this is something that's nice to do while you're binge watching Netflix or whatever. Make sure you get your corners pushed out. We did try to sew it all the way around, leaving just this side. It was a much easier sew, but then when assembly came around, it was kind of a nightmare. So I went back to having this opening on the side, and that's where I push everything through. I also don't trim my thread. You'll notice there is no thread showing. It bothers people, but that's okay. It's inside everything, so I don't really care. You can trim the threads if you want to. I just find it to be an extra step. And at this point, I'm not going for the Crawford County Star Homemaker. I'm going for having as much done as I possibly can and making sure as many faces are covered in our county as I possibly can. So like this right here, you'll see there are some strings. So what I'll actually do is I will just shove them inside. And it usually happens while I'm turning them. So just turn everything that you sewed and it'll be good to go. Okay, so now we have this neat little stack of pillowcases, for lack of a better term, and I like to keep all of my open ends that I need to be careful with sewing on the same side, and I usually put them away from me. I found out that this actually helps me remember which side they are. So I tuck it in, give it a little pull. It does a nice close. I put it on that upper corner. Go back and forth in the corner. And I try to sew pretty close to the edge. And again, I don't have all of the little ties or elastic getting in my way. I find it to be a lot faster. And when I get to my end, I back it up, pull, trim both ends of the string at the same time. Ready to go, set it aside. This is how we are cutting them because they seem to roll the best. So what I do is, because I want to save the front of the shirt, maybe not the shirt, but the decal, I fold it so that the decal portion is up and I can see where it ends. So I know not to cut any further than here. The hardest thing, of course, making sure that the shirt is flat. If you have to iron it, sometimes that works better. Line up all of your edges and go ahead and just, if you have the rotary, that's great. Don't cut yourself. Already been through that situation. But if you don't, you can use the scissors. Just cut off all of those ends. Now, these work great for tie masks in a pinch. So go ahead and save those. Let's have a pile going over here. And then what I'm doing is going down this way. And just keep continuing to go. Make sure you get through both layers. All right, so let's talk about t-shirt ties. Now, if you cut your shirt the way that I had shown you prior, then you will have the grain going this way in the shirt. If you cut your shirt this way, then you will have your grain going this way in your shirt. And let me show you the difference. So here is the same t-shirt cut both ways. This is across. See how extremely stretchy that is? That will go all the way out to like 21 inches. Here is the lengthwise. That's the difference in the cutting. This still has stretch to go almost out to 28 inches. This just doesn't quite have the same stretch. So this is why I like to go horizontal across my shirts. Okay, so here's the difference. So I have a pile of 4 here that I did very quickly. And so what I'm going to do is gather 4 masks worth of strips. This one's a little longer, so this would be a good tie, and I'll show you that. So I'm going to give each one of them a good pull, and you'll see why I'm doing this ahead of time. And I'm matching them up. Okay, there's one shirt. I did them in different colors so you guys can see. Hopefully one color will show up better than the others. And we'll just work with that. You can see that's where the seam was. So I'm just gonna give this a quick clip. to make our two 14-inch pieces. Give it a quick tug, find the middle. It'll make more sense why I'm doing it this way. I'm cutting out a step that makes this go faster by just giving these a tug. Also, I'm using less thread, which is less times I have to use a bobbin threader. So, grab a mask. I use the edge of my table and I go right at about a third. So, you just eyeball the third, pinch, pull up, go to the bottom, pinch, pull up. Now, because these are double-sided, the same fabric, there's really no right or wrong side. If I had a wrong side, then I would flip it over to do this. But what I do is instead of sewing this or pinning this, I reach over and grab the middle bottom, set it up on my sewing machine. This gets easier the more that you do. Put my foot down, it's now held there pretty good. And I follow the channel that's created by the t-shirt being stretched. Side one is done. Clip. And then don't forget this string right here. And I lost my, there they are. Clip. Ready for side two. Now side two is a lot easier. Right now it looks like an oriental fan, but side two is a lot easier because you just follow the way that it naturally wants to go. Make sure you put it on the same, if this is your back side, make sure you follow and put it on the same side. Throw it up on here. Then you're not actually having to do the sew across the pleats twice. Your machine will thank you. That is the thickest that it will sew. Now these strips are longer, so I'm actually going to leave them this way. You could loop them. They would make ear pieces. I would still leave them long because if somebody wants to just use it as a regular tie mask, they've got that as well. So as you can see, we skipped a couple steps, but we're able to make the steps up. Now, the nice thing with these is, on the ear ties especially, they're a lot softer than the elastic, and they're adjustable. So if you have someone who has a longer face, all you have to do is loosen up the little knot here and move the tie out. So for men, you make the strap longer. Or for a younger person or someone with a small face, all you have to do is move the strap down and make it smaller. Again, they're adjustable. They are still a 7x9, so they are fitting on the face. This tells you which is the back side for those that were having problems distinguishing front from back when the fabric was the same on both sides. This is your back side. So what do you do if you have all these 7x9s that you've been cutting or having cut for you because that was the original pattern sign? Well, don't fret, just do it like you would normally do, but instead of pinning the ribbon in, go up to your long side, start your sew, and go all the way to your corner. Instead of fiddling there with anything, just go down the side. And repeat the process the whole way around. So you get back to the area on the other long edge. And then this is where you want to remember to leave your turn window. So it's the exact same thing. And then you just turn it as you normally would. The only difference is you don't have the elastic or the ribbon to help you get your corners out there, which was kind of nice, but I'm not sure that that was a good enough reason for me to fight with the ribbon inside and actually sew it to the other side while I was trying to finagle which one was coming out. So then you're just gonna sew around and do the straps like you would originally. Really won't give you enough for a decent ear tie. Like, you're gonna be really close on that one. So in that case, don't fret, you can still use them. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna take 4 of them and stretch them out. I don't like doing this because it goes back to where I was fighting with the ribbon, but take your 7x9s, and now what you're gonna do is you're basically, again, I have a problem with pinning, so I'm just gonna lay them, but they're not as slippery as ribbon or elastic. They're not snapping anywhere. So I'm just gonna lay it down. But you can see why this takes me so much longer, and I prefer to go the other way. But if you've already cut, don't waste them. Go back and forth over them. Bring it down. I like to go to about an inch. Lift up, put my other one in there. Now here's where it gets fun, you know, you gotta be sure you don't connect everything in your backside. Now you've got your other 2, and what I like to do is make sure those 2 are hanging out, and just go ahead and stick these 2 in. Grab one, make sure it's up top. Doesn't really matter which one you grab. If it's peeking out a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. Don't get the other one included. You can go all the way down. Remember, this is what I do if I cut the t-shirt the wrong way. I try not to do this all the time, but those that are already doing them this way, and this is the way you're used to doing them, or you're pinning or whatever, don't worry, you can still do it the same way without changing your pattern. I just find this way to be more labor intensive. The nice thing is that when you do turn, you do have these to help with your corners. So that is nice, but like I said before, I don't find that to be the good enough reason to fight with them. or slow myself down. I would prefer to be able to talk and do this rather than have to think about what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be at like 1,500 and some masks. So that's how I'm doing them. Let me know if it works for you, and hopefully we're on our right track.